In a previous video, we went over how to create an array, and we went over one specific rule, that an array is meant to hold only one specific type. Here, all of the names in our array are of type string. But what happens if we want to create an array of different types? To create an array of different types, let's call it mixed array, and I'm just going to give it a few default values of apple, 10, and false. So here we have a string, an integer, and a boolean respectively. And you're going to see that we get an error, but it's actually a fixable error. It says that a heterogeneous collection literal could only be inferred to any. Add explicit type annotation if this is intentional. So all this means is that we have to insert the any type. The same way that we specified before that an array has to be of all type strings, like so, we have to specify that the type of the array here has to be any, like this. Now that error goes away. So to create an array of mixed types, all we have to do is put this any type right here. Any can represent instances of any type. So strings, doubles, integers, booleans, floats, and even custom objects. You can also add and remove elements, same as before with a mixed array. So let's say I want to add 3.14, which is of type double. You'll see that we don't get any errors, and we could just confirm that by printing everything out. We get apple, 10, false, and 3.14. So this works fine. So why don't we use mixed arrays? Well, there's a few reasons, but one of the more common reasons why is because over here with this names array, we know what we're getting into. All of our elements are strings. So if we wanted to manipulate the data in any way, then we just say for name in names, and we could just uppercase each name. Like so, we get capital Mia, Anna, Joe, and Bob. With an array of objects all of one type, then we can easily do this, right? We can manipulate all of the data in very easy ways. But let's say that we wanted to uppercase all the data in here. You might already see why that wouldn't work, but let's go over it anyway. So we're going to say for item in mixed array, and we're going to try to uppercase everything. So print item dot uppercase, and you see that we can't really do that. That's because there's no guarantee that each item in our mixed array is going to be a string that we can uppercase. So if we wanted to uppercase only the strings in the array, then we have to specify that. If we wanted to manipulate the data, like uppercasing the strings, doubling our integer, or switching the boolean's value, then we'd have to check for each item individually, right? We'd have to check that the item that we're getting is a string to uppercase it, and we'd have to check that the item is an integer, and that the item is a bool. So it becomes really messy, and it would look something like this. If let number equal item as an integer, then we're going to double the integer's value. If the item is type string, then we're going to uppercase the string. And if the item is a boolean, then we're going to switch the value of the bool. So let's run this. Let me comment this out first. And run this. And you see that it does exactly what we want. It uppercases our string, it doubles our value, it was 10, now it's 20, and it changed the value of our boolean. So we have to check each item like this. And that gets really annoying. This is just one downside of a mixed array. There's also a huge performance impact. Swift has to check the types at runtime, which can actually be slower than using homogeneous array like names up here. So that's something to keep in mind. And lastly, you have less readable and maintainable code. Arrays of mixed types can become confusing down the line. Dealing with that information and manipulating it is just going to be a chore. So then what are mixed arrays actually good for? Mixed types arrays are most useful when working with dynamic data, like JSON. When retrieving JSON, we won't always have the same types in an array. For example, we might have some user objects like here. We'll have an error message or a status code all at once. Using a mixed type array with any lets you handle all of these cases in a single collection. You can then safely check each element's type at runtime and respond accordingly, like printing the user info, showing the error message, or printing the status code. If we run this, we're going to see that we get a user, Alice, user Bob, a return message, error user not found, and a status code 404. So to summarize, an array of mixed types can be useful, but it depends on your use case. If you really need one, then you can create one. Nothing's really stopping you. You just have to specify what the any type and handle the data appropriately. If you have any other ideas where an array of mixed types can be useful, let us know down below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.